Okay, let me start just mentioning that we tried to celebrate this meeting as close as possible to the International Mountain Days. I will not spend much time on that, but I would like to highlight this mountains matter leitmotif. I think it's really important. Quite often we only think in mountains as beautiful sceneries, but mountains are much more. And that's why moving is trying to develop different tools and different knowledge, capacity building, research, and so on, that can make the future of these areas more sustainable and more resilient. Okay, so what is moving? Moving is a Horizon 2020 project. It stands for Mountain Valorization through Interconnectedness and Green Growth, and will be developed during 4 years. We have already finished our first year, and it gathered 23 partners, and it's coordinated by the University of Córdoba in Spain. Our main objective is to build capacities and co-develop relevant policy frameworks across Europe for the establishment of value chains that contribute to the resilience and sustainability of mountain areas, especially when they face important challenges like climate change and other drivers, as could be the population or lack of development opportunities in these territories. We will work in 23 mountain reference regions distributed around 16 European and neighboring countries. So we will analyze most of the different mountain regions existing in Europe. It's from very high mountains to island to other areas facing natural constraints. Moving has a quite complex approach, but you can see our idea is we will analyze the diversity of value chains in Europe through an inventory of 400 value chains, focusing in a social ecological system approach, as I will mention later on. We will do also a more in-depth value chain analysis through 23 case studies where we have selected representative value chains, and we will be analyzing what are their potentialities, vulnerabilities, good practices, and so on. After, we will cluster these different value chains, and we will undertake a cross-case comparison in order to understand what is the potential of these value chains. And finally, we will analyze the future perspectives. So through a participatory multi-level foresight analysis with a scenario of 2050. All this research, all this investigation should help us to do a policy audit and design of new and updated policies that can support the future of these areas. And we will deliver a final outcome that will be a policy analysis and a roadmap for these territories. Of course, to do all these things, we need to have a conceptual base, and we need to develop different tools. And these value chains are in a system, in a social ecological system, where it's quite important to analyze what is the land use system, what is the situation of the resources that support these value chains. So we will do a participatory vulnerability analysis of the land use systems in these reference regions. And the most important things in today's meeting is that as we are working with a participatory approach, we aim to create a community of practices where all of you are more than welcome. So, but I will leave this to my colleague Blanca that will explain later on a bit more about our community of practices. And we have already started, as we have mentioned, we have been working for around 15 months. So we have proposed an initial conceptual and analytical framework. We have delivered the first draft of this inventory of value chains, and we are working to make more comprehensible in the future. For a moment, is just a database, but we are developing visual tools that help in the dissemination and in the better knowledge of these value chains. And work in progress is this participatory vulnerability analysis of land use systems and the development of other conceptual and visual tools. We are also in the middle of this value chain analysis. We have already selected the main value chains to be analyzed and are now in the process of understanding how do they work and what are they doing. We aim to deliver a good number of outputs, like the inventory, the analysis in depth of the 23 case studies with vulnerability matrices, different methodologies, tools, indicators for size exercise, susceptibility and vulnerability maps to different threats and challenges. We will develop our community of practice. And finally, as it was stated in the objective, we aim to deliver policy recommendations and a policy roadmap that could boost the resilience and sustainability of these essential territories in Europe. Okay, as I said, we have already worked with our conceptual framework, and we base this framework in two main concepts. We understand mountains as complex social ecological systems that are linked systems of people and nature and are nested across different scales. We consider value chains as networks of actors and activities that are geographically localized and that create linkages to provide consumer with product or services, obtaining in a chain a value to be distributed between the components of the chain. We believe that without economic and job opportunities, there's no possibility of development, but we need to go for a sustainable development and resilient development. But we go beyond the conventional value chain analysis in order to do a more extended approach that focuses on the assemblage of actors and practices. Our value chains are not only an economic concept, but we take care or we consider actors and practices. So we aim to know how to sustain value chains that contribute to the sustainability of mountain areas. And for that, we need to know who gets value, how, and how can we create conducive policy environments that are able to support local actors and their practices. So that is, you have here some ideas of our progress for the first year. You have an infographic of the inventory of value chains. We have also you have also a picture of our conceptual and analytical framework with the practices and the actors in the middle, in the core. And as I said, that is what we have already done for the moment: the conceptual and analytical framework, the inventory of value chains, the selection of our value chains to be analyzed in depth, the participatory vulnerability analysis of the land use system, the setting up of 23 regional multi-actor platforms, and now we are launching our European multi-actor platform, and we have also delivered a first set of policy briefs. So we have some work in progress, like the participatory appraisal of vulnerability and performance of value chains. You will learn a little bit about this now on with the 3 presentations. And we are working in creating a story map for each of the value chains and mountains reference regions, and also in the development of a mountains app that will help to engage people in these areas. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much. And I hope we are going to have a very fruitful meeting where your outputs, your input, sorry, your information and your feedback is going to be very, very helpful for our project. Thank you very much.